Good evening, good morning, good night. It's good to see you wherever you are. I'm still in bed. I haven't gotten over spring break yet. I'm still wanting to relax. So this is how we're just going to deal with it today, all right? It is Tuesday, April 21st. This is lesson 18 of your MediaTek e-learning lessons. You guys don't have cameras or editing equipment at the house, so how do you do MediaTek without those things? It's easy. We do it the Heinz way. And you know what the Heinz way is. Each day you'll have your warm-up, a short video like this, some notes in Google Classroom, and a short assignment to do, so we both know you know the material. Don't worry, as always, I'm going to keep it short and sweet for you. In fact, as we go on through this semester, I'm going to make it easier and easier for you because Heinz looks out for you. All right, Teddy Duchamp, let's hit it. Today we are going to talk about teamwork out in the field. You know all about my TV career. And truth be told, most of those times I was out in the field, I was working with great reporters. There were some great times and a couple of bad times, but in the end, it was always about getting the job done right. Two guys that I work with a ton were Derrick Gunn and John Clark, two very, very good reporters and very good friends of mine. Gunner and I spent well over 15 years together covering the Eagles. Derrick has logged over 40 years in his career covering sports. And John Clark and I have known each other just as long, and we've done some fantastic work together. Both of those guys have won Emmys, they've had accolades, they've done just about everything you can do in a broadcasting career. Derrick is the guy when it comes to Eagles information. He basically runs the town when it comes to the NFL there in Philadelphia. He is the go-to guy. If he says it, you can put it in the bank that it's the truth. John, on the other hand, is just as reliable a source when it comes to any other sports news, and even the Eagles too. In fact, his nickname is Johnny Airport. Why? Because John is so competitive, he will chase down athletes at the airport before they even sign a contract. Two very good guys that I tracked down myself to help us today learn about teamwork in the field. So, the number one thing that both of them talked about, and I agree with, the number one thing you need for a good team is communication. Let's have Derrick talk first about communication.
When Jerry asked me to help him with this project, the first thing I'm thinking is, okay, I worked with this guy for over 15 years. He's been gone for over 8 months, and he's still bugging me.
That's typical Derrick. We were always joking around with each other. In fact, did you know that Derrick is well known in Philadelphia as a grill master? He loves to smoke meat. He loves to grill meat. In fact, he's famous for his ribs, which he boils before he puts on the grill, which is a big no-no. Isn't that right, Derrick? Yeah. All right. Well, here's the deal. Derrick now has some real information about communication when you work as a team out in the field.
Jerry and I worked together for over 15 years. And what really made it work, even when he was annoying, which was usually once a week, maybe more. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. I'm just kidding. But what made it work was whether we clashed, which we rarely did, or whether we got along, we went into a story a lot of times talking about different angles that we wanted to pursue. He would have ideas, I would have ideas. And as a reporter, you have to be humble enough to accept opinions from others. A lot of times a photographer has a better idea than you do because they are the eye behind the camera. Their visual vision a lot of times is better than yours.
Clarky, or Sheiky as I call him because we joked about the Iron Sheik. John is big into wrestling. Clark will echo that sentiment about communication, right, John?
The key is open communication and trust, and to be totally open about everything that you're both looking for so that you can combine each skill set and get on the same page.
Now, both of those guys and I have traveled the country together. I've been from Seattle to Miami to London with those guys. We had some great times, both on the field and off the field. But it wasn't without some bumps and bruises. As you know, if you've got siblings or good friends, if you do anything well long enough, you're gonna fight. And we fought tooth and nail sometimes, but it was always key that we made up. So here's a very important lesson that these guys are going to talk to you about. Be professional in the times that you're not really getting along.
There were times he and I had knockdown, drag-out verbal battles. Those were few and far in between, but we got past them. And even when things were a little tense between us in the field, we set those differences aside because we know the last thing you can do as a reporter or a photographer is go back to your bosses who send you out on the story and you tell them you didn't get the job done because you couldn't get along with the person that you're working with.
Well, a bad relationship is when there is no communication, and there's a lack of communication about that. And also, if a photographer is shooting really, really good stuff and a reporter is not writing to the video, then that's a bad relationship. So it's all about communication, and the key is when somebody has good video, when the photographer shoots good video for a story, the reporter needs to write to that, and then the reporter also needs to say, here's some of the things that I was looking for to see, and then you can get on the same page and come to a happy medium about how to have the best product.
And really, at the end of the day, it's about putting the best product on the air. And part of that is being very competitive. I was very competitive. Derrick is very competitive. John is very competitive. And when we worked together, there was no other crew that was going to beat us on a story. We were proud of that. That was what drove us. So in the end, being competitive helps you produce a good story.
Jerry had a very, very big passion for shooting sports and finding the best stories. And so when I would see that light go on with him, and I could tell when he was really interested because he'd have all these ideas. Those are my favorite moments working with Jerry.
He and I were covering Super Bowl 52 in Minneapolis just a few years ago, and I'm from the Midwest in Wisconsin. It was one of the coldest weeks I've ever spent in my life covering a football event. And on the night of the game, the Eagles shock the world and they win the Super Bowl. And Jerry and I are running around on the field, getting all the interviews we can, capturing every moment possible. And we got some incredible interviews, guys crying like babies because they had won the Super Bowl. We got the owner, Jeffrey Lurie. We got the head coach. We got all the key players. In a span of an hour, hour and a half, Jerry and I covered from one end zone to the other and in the tunnel where the Eagles were for their locker room and got every interview. We even got the general manager, Howie Roseman. The emotions were incredible. And when it was all said and done at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, we finally took a breath and said, do you realize what we were just able to accomplish? And that's because we had one common goal. We wanted to be the best that we could be. We wanted to make sure nobody else was going to outdo us. And we achieved our goals.
In fact, during that Super Bowl postgame, I stopped Derrick. I said, hey, give me 1 second. He was confused. I pulled out my camera and I took this selfie of us. It is one of my favorite moments, one of my favorite memories of my TV career. And a large part of that, it was because I was working with a guy that I truly loved working with, and we were doing excellent work. So let's recap. The 3 keys to a good relationship in the field are open communication, be professional by rising above any disagreements, and be competitive. No one will beat you on the story that you're working on. All right, now let's get to our assignment, shall we? As we get deeper into the school year and towards the end of the school year, we're going to do more stand-ups. It's just going to make life easier on you. This doesn't happen by accident. All of this is planned. Do you see how it all looks nice? I'm not just throwing things up. It's not a blank wall. So when you do your stand-ups, I want good audio. I want good video. I want a clear message. So your assignment today, in your stand-up, tell me if you feel you'd be a better reporter or a better photographer when dealing with a team, and tell me why, all right? So send it up on Google Classroom and you're done. If you don't have a way to do a stand-up, type up your stand-up and send that in a Google Doc. All right, so do your warm-up, do your stand-up, send it in, and you're done. Now for your favorite thing that we always do, Heinz recommendations. Your movie today is very easy. We've talked about teamwork and friendship. This one was a no-brainer, the Stephen King classic, Stand By Me.
Oh man, where do you hear this? Where do you hear this? What is it, man? You guys want to go see a dead body?
When the night has come.
It's a story about friends who go on a great adventure and learn a lot about life in the long run.
You think Mighty Mouse could beat up Superman?
Mighty Mouse is a cartoon. Superman is a real guy. No way a cartoon could beat up a real guy.
As for your song recommendation, this was a no-brainer as well. We played this song non-stop on road trips, especially the ones that Derrick and I were on. Here is your classic, one of Derrick's favorites, although it's not his favorite. His favorite is Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror. We're not doing that one. This is Prince's When Doves Cry. We would jam out to this song no matter what random NFL city we were in, and there's a reason why, because this one is just flat out awesome.
This is what it sounds like when the doves cry.
All right, that's all I've got for you today. I do want to really thank my very good friends John Clark and Derrick Gunn. I am really grateful to call them my friends, and I am very thankful that they took the time to help teach you guys a little bit about teamwork in the field. Together with all three of us, you've got over 100 years of experience. Most of that's from Derrick. Of experience in the TV business. There are no better people you could listen to on how TV works. So I do want to thank them, and I know they have a final thought.
All right, Jerry, I hooked you up with this little video. That check better be in the mail.
I missed you, Jerry. Good luck to your class.
I miss those guys too. All right, with that, I'm out. Clean your room. Bye.
We were covering the Eagles and Saints in New Orleans over a decade ago. And Jerry and I were sprinting to get a shot above this car garage in downtown New Orleans so we can get scenic shots of the downtown city of New Orleans, and I could do some stand-ups as teasers for a story that I was doing for a newscast that night. Well, we drove the car up the ramp to the top of the garage. When we tried to come down, nobody was in the garage. The garage was closed. The gate wouldn't let up. We tried to get on the phone that was in the booth there. Nobody would answer the phone initially. Then somebody answered the phone and said, we'll send somebody over. Nobody ever came. Well, there was these two yellow concrete barriers on the sides of the booth there. And Jerry was driving a big SUV. So he had me try to navigate him as he tried to go over this concrete barrier to get to these two yellow foundations. We know he had the width, but it was just the angle in which he tried to get through. So as Jerry tried to go over this barrier, he got a little bit too close, and I said, stop, 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 back up. He starts to back up, and he scrapes the side of the SUV. All you hear is, ooh. So a few days later, we had to turn the car in to Hertz Rental, and the guy goes around and checks the car, see what's some damage, and Jerry's sweating bullets thinking he's gonna have to pay for this car. So me and our other photographer, Brian Spielman, we're teasing him the whole weekend about this, and he's sweating bullets about possibly having to pay for this. So the guy who checks the car for Hertz opens the door, and all you hear is ka-clunk. And so now Jerry is like almost breathless. But luckily for Jerry, there was never anything mentioned. The guy checking the car never said anything, and nothing ever came of it.